Okay, welcome to week 3. So our home page has changed. It now says welcome to week 3 with some new information. So begin by watching this video. Then let's take a look at the schedule down here. We can see that for week 3, our goal is to complete the Arguments Quiz 1, which will cover everything in Unit 1, Mods 1 through 4. We are going to start new material on truth tables, and we will continue to work on cognitive biases. Let's navigate to the modules page. Remember that you can close up the material you've already completed to focus on the material for this week. So the first thing you should do is take a look at week 3, but scroll down past that. Let's close that up for now, to notice that there is an additional module underneath week 3 for Arguments Quiz 1. This module starts with Quiz 1 study resources. It just has links to everything this quiz is on, and it has a practice quiz with solutions. Once you have marked this page complete, the quiz is now available. So you can see that the quiz is available here as well, and once you submit Arguments Quiz 1, the retake will then become available. Remember from the notification last week, once you submit the quiz, if you're using the little navigation buttons at the bottom, it'll immediately bring you to the retake, and there'll be a big blue button that says Start Quiz. Don't panic. You don't have to take the retake, and even if you want to take the retake, you should probably go back and review your answers to your first attempt at the quiz and maybe study a bit in between quiz and retake. Okay, so that's Arguments Quiz 1. Let's look at the material for week 3. Week 3, there's no new material in the Understanding Arguments unit. The homework is a short 7-question review for Arguments Quiz 1. The next thing in the module is just an information page, which points you, if you click on this, it brings us back down to the Arguments module. Just to remind you that you can get this over with early in the week, or you can study for this slowly over the course of the week and take it at the end. It's up to you, but probably you'll want to get this over with right away before moving on to the brand new material. Okay, so the brand new material is in Unit 2, Evaluating Arguments. So we just ended translating from English into symbolic notation. We are now going to be able to use our statements and arguments in symbolic notation to construct truth tables, which we will use to evaluate arguments. We won't probably get to that until next week. For this week, our goal is just to figure out how to set up truth tables and evaluate a simple statement. Let's take a look at the truth table material. We are going to be working on this material for 3 weeks, and there's a guide to what you should be doing for each of the 3 weeks. So for this week, we should be focused on pages 2 to 22, as well as the practice exercises that go with those pages. And all these page numbers refer, of course, to the text. There's a text in every module. The text is almost always one of the most important parts of the module. Definitely be sure you're checking out the text. It might be easy to miss because it's just one little link, but if you're taking any class, usually there's a textbook and it's important. It is 20 pages, but there are many diagrams. So it's really not reading heavy, it's more illustrating the process of doing truth tables. So you're going to want to check that out. There is a truth tables practice packet. If you have a printer handy, I recommend printing this out, though you could transcribe things by hand and just have this up in front of you, or if you have some kind of fancy device where you can take notes on your device, you can probably do it that way, but this is an important resource. Now, all of the practice exercises in this packet are the same ones linked to throughout the text. So these two things should go together pretty seamlessly if you're using both. There are no solutions linked in this packet, but if you want to look at the solutions, you will find them in the text. So let's just scroll all the way to the last page, and you can see there's a bunch of resources and a bunch of practice exercises, and when you click on those, there will be solutions. The practice exercises will also be linked to throughout the text as they become relevant. So, for example, you might stop and do practice 2.1 here. So the text and the practice exercises are supposed to go together pretty seamlessly. There is also a lecture videos page. And there are a couple sets of lectures. So the first 3 are by Rick Grush at UCSD. These are an optional supplement. If you are getting the hang of this material very easily, it's possible you could just watch the lecture videos and not read the text as much, though you'll definitely still want to do practice exercises on your own. This stuff looks easy to some people when you watch someone else do it, but then when you sit down to do it yourself and can't remember how to get started, you realize it looks easier when you look at someone else doing it and you don't actually know how to do it yourself. As we are studying in Unit 4, that might be a case of Dunning-Kruger at work. So feel free to watch these lecture videos, but do be aware of what's in the text. At the very least, skim it and definitely do practice exercises. And as far as which videos are relevant for this week, the first 2 are the ones that are most relevant for this week, whereas the third one is more relevant for next week. And then I also have some shorter practice videos by me, and these ones are more relevant next week. And then there are some Quizlets at the bottom, and these are entirely optional. You will have all the practice you need if you stick to this stuff and do the homework. And even if you're doing the Truth Tables practice packet, there are more exercises than anyone needs to do. The goal is to identify problems that are challenging for you, but are not too difficult for you. So work at the right level and don't hesitate to move on. And if you find that you're not able to do the problems, do easier ones. If you're doing them easily, do harder ones. But there are some Quizlets down here. So one of our tasks, as you'll see when you get into the material, is to just know how to evaluate statements with our operators. So as you'll learn very quickly at the beginning of the material, a conjunction statement, that's what the dot is, remember, a conjunction statement, which is an and statement, is true only when both of its conjuncts are true, and false in every other case. So this question is asking you, what if you have a conjunction with 2 false conjuncts? Is that true or false? That would be false. So these are questions where the truth values are stipulated. We're told what they are. For most of our material, we won't know what the truth values are. That's why we need to construct tables. But doing this kind of drill in this Quizlet exercise can help you to quickly memorize the rule for each of the operators. There are rules for the operators here. There's Quizlets to remind you of the basic steps for setting up truth tables. And there's a Quizlet to remind you how to, this is more relevant next week, to demonstrate some of the things you'll be asked to demonstrate. So these are not your primary practice, but you might find them helpful. Last but not least, we have more cognitive biases material. So this should look familiar. We are continuing to work on the same resources you looked at last week. And then the homework this week will include one auto-graded. This one will have multiple choice questions and one passage analysis homework. So let's take a quick look at the passage analysis homework. Since this is a short answer and therefore hand-graded exercise, there's only one attempt, but there are sample answers provided upon submission. So oftentimes these short answer homeworks aren't worth a lot, and most people don't like doing the short answer questions. However, the reason why it's so important to do them is because they are going to be like short answer questions on the quiz. So usually it will be better if it's not the first time you're seeing a short answer question is in the quiz scenario. So this passage analysis will give you a short passage analysis guide with an example and then 2 passage analysis questions. So just do your best to use this guide to answer these questions. And even though they're not worth a lot and it's somewhat more work than multiple choice questions, you should definitely do it. It's important. That completes our tour of week 3. Good luck.